It's dead horse time, by the way, everybody. Welcome. Hannity.
I agree. I'm a dope.
Who, many people, and this is fair. Everything else is covered under fair use, anyways. But it should be obvious. It's only when they steal music that I worry on the right wing trailers. Good Lord. This one's titled Hannity. Hunter Biden's story is falling apart. Is it though? Because he's suing everybody. If your story was falling apart, that's kind of the last thing you would do, right?
Fox News alert, we told you this about 45 minutes ago. Breaking news, Hunter Biden is suing the IRS, accusing the agency's whistleblowers, those two people we saw in front of Congress, of illegally disclosing his private tax information and embarrassing him in the process.
Right, because if you aren't showing a crime, all you're doing is showing how people spend their money. And if you show all of it, not just the part that are engaged in the crime, then you're basically trying to slant a jury in one direction, or you're trying to prejudice them or the public against somebody.
Great Sean Hannity is joining us live.
Sean Hannity? He's just developed
Embarrassing him in the process.
The great Sean Hannity is joining us live. Sean, thanks for joining the program.
By the way, LJ, I got to give you a warm welcome. This is now LJ and Friends in the Morning.
That's right.
I've been watching all day. I was watching at 6 a.m. Eastern. So congratulations, LJ. Great to have you in the morning.
Who left their alarm on that you were up at 6 o'clock?
I don't know. I sleep so well, Steve.
Yeah, no kidding. We all do.
You work an hour a day.
Brian, actually, Sean.
I don't understand how you're not exhausted I do more work on my show and spend more time in programming than Sean Hannity does. Like most days. Period. End of fucking story. Good Lord. And I don't even have I have mods and I have CSL and that's it. And like, for fuck's sake, like this dude, I don't know. I don't know how I just get up in the morning.
Brian.
And then I nap in the afternoon, and then I work for an hour at night, and then I go back to sleep after a steak dinner at a ritzy New York restaurant.
You know, Sean, you and I were talking about the name of the show, and you said LJ and Friends.
No.
Brian, it used to be, his radio show was Brian Kilmeade and Friends.
Oh, that's right. It was Kilmeade and Friends. That's
He
right.
got
I
rid of
do
the friends,
remember.
though.
Got rid of Friends.
Now he has no friends.
Now.
So I guess it's the Brian Kilmeade show.
It was a court order.
So Sean, what do you make of this? Hunter Biden, it looks like they're fighting back, angry that the House Republicans have been investigating, and now it's...
No, I don't think they're mad that they're investigating. I don't think anybody can get mad about that kind of stuff except they're digging around. I think it would be the revenge porn part.
Actually, his lawyers say those whistleblowers who appeared first behind closed doors with Republican investigators, they broke the rules because they disclosed private tax information, and now Hunter Biden's lawyers essentially want their pound of flesh.
Which, by the way, their pound of flesh. No, I think they just want to sue the federal government, which is something normally Republicans love. And also, they all think if this was Donald Trump, they'd be like, if I was Donald Trump, I'd sue them for releasing my tax. Blah, blah.
Well, the one thing Hunter does have going for him, Steve, in this case, in my view, is there's maybe 5 great lawyers in D.C. Hunter has one of them. His name is Abby Lowell. I'd never underestimate this guy. He's the guy that got off John Edwards and Senator Menendez in New Jersey. He's a serious constitutional lawyer. I would take it seriously. However, if I was the IRS agents, I'd immediately file a countersuit. The one thing I'd be looking for...
First of all, you can't. He's suing the IRS, not them individually. He's saying they acted individually in the IRS. The IRS could countersue technically if they wanted to, I guess, in the name of those officers.
Would love discovery on Hunter Biden. Love discovery.
You don't get discovery in this situation. You don't. All right. I libel you. I say about somebody, slut, slut, slut. Everywhere they go, slutty, slut, slut. And how do you know? Because I know and everybody knows it. Slutty, slut, slut. And that person sues me for slandering them as a slut everywhere they go. And I go, Your Honor, I need to look at all their text messages and their emails so I can prove they're a slut. And the judge goes, no, 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 it doesn't work that way. You have to assert how you knew it in the first place. You don't get to slander someone and then use that as a predicate to go through their private email. You need to, what kind of industry would you be creating to be able to bait people into a slander case so that you can get discovery of their entire fucking life? Are you insane? No. There is no question. First of all, the discovery would just be the taxes themselves, because that's what it's over. Not the ruling is whether it was private or not, or whether they had the right to share it or not. There is no other thing. There's no part where like, I'm going to get it, but I filed fake tax returns so that they'd show the wrong ones. Like, that's not the case. There is no discovery in this situation. They don't get discovery. You know what they get in discovery? If you have their emails that you've read that figured out that there was a conspiracy going on, your team has to give those to the defense. To the defendant in it. You don't have to give them your whole fucking life. This is just stupid.
Because that then opens up the entire laptop.
No, it does not, because there is no laptop.
You know, and there's so many.
No, it doesn't. That can I just say, like, that's nowhere close to true. First of all, Hunter and his lawyers have already stated in multiple legal briefs that laptop is not real and that it is a mishmash of stolen, modified, manipulated, edited, and in some cases destroyed for context files and pictures and all kinds of shit thrown into a laptop, thrown into a hard drive, named laptop, and passed around. It's not a real fucking laptop. And that would not allow their team to look at it at all, because it's not germane to any of this. The question is, did they have the right to show his taxes? No. That's what he's suing about. They have to prove that they did have the right to show it, or that it was in the interest of, legal proceedings to do that. And in which case, if they don't have evidence that there was a reason to show that to the public, they're the ones in hot water.
Questions here. When I watch these people in the mob and the media, and they keep saying, there's no evidence.
There is no evidence. I don't care. This motherfucker doesn't know the difference between information and evidence. One of the biggest problems they have is everything they think is evidence is just information, because they don't have a crime to attach to it.
Ken Buck, too.
There's a plethora of evidence.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
Ken Buck says that.
Right. Well, yeah, Republican Ken Buck. Who cares about Ken Buck? Like him and three people. So, but
his constituents who elected him to office. You're a news broker.
But the reality is simple. First of all, let's start with the basics.
Okay. Let's start with the basics.
I agree. I'm a dope.
All right.
Why did Joe Biden lie repeatedly on the issue of whether or not he even spoke to his son, brother, or anybody for that matter about their foreign business deals?
Because he didn't.
Mm-hmm. He lied repeatedly.
No, he didn't. Even the dinner that they cite both times were for the World Food Program.
Now we know, thanks to Devin Archer and other information, we know that Joe Biden, photographic evidence, we know that he got on the phone with many of Hunter's foreign business partners.
No, you don't. He called Hunter Biden every day. Joe called Hunter every day. Every day. For the decade that Devin Archer knew and worked with Hunter Biden, Joe called him every day. Every single fucking day. He talked to his father every day. Sometimes he talked to him in the morning while he's brushing his teeth. Sometimes he talked to him around lunch. Sometimes he talked to him at dinner time because his dad was busy and so was he. Sometimes he was in another country. Sometimes the time difference was all over the map. So 20 times out of, hold on one second. So approximately, I didn't want to beat that because my thing was, the Siri was going off. So out of 3,650 calls, give or take, in the decade of Biden calling his son every day. Out of 3,650 calls, Devon Archer was present for 20 of them out of 3,650. And there were business people apparently were there, and they talked about fishing and how the weather was. That's it.
Met with oligarchs at the Cafe Milano. We're talking about
Right, for the World Food Program. That's why everybody was there. Now, whether Hunter brought people there to try and meet his dad or to show him off is another thing entirely. But it was for the World Food Program.
about massive amounts of money, tens of millions of dollars. Hunter
To Rosemont Seneca, the fucking company that was dealing in hundreds of millions of dollars, and this was their commission or fee. Honest to God, once we get down into the most Biden himself could have gotten out of this, we're talking $900,000. The dude had a $11 million book deal.
Biden was addicted to drugs at the time, had no experience, for example, in oil.
But Devon Archer did. He's a real estate guy. Why would you take his word? He made more money from Burisma than Hunter did.
But he's doing multi-million-dollar oil deals with Ukraine, Burisma.
No, he isn't. No, he isn't. Burisma is an oil and gas holding company for investors to invest in multiple companies that are involved in oil and gas extraction in Ukraine. It's an investment group. Burisma Holdings is the full name of the game, name of the company. Also, I don't think he's pronouncing it right.
The Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese.
And CEFC out of China.
Which had an office in Trump Tower. $5 million. Yeah. Yi Jianming, the head of CEFC, bought a $5 million apartment in Trump Tower. The one across from the UN, by the way.
Well, what was Hunter doing for that money?
He was shepherding investment money. That's what you do. That's what all of them were doing. It's what Devon was doing. It's what Devon did for Elena Baturina. Yeah. Did James Comer ever make those 70 recordings he said he had? No, they do not exist. Jared Kushner, $3 billion from the $2 billion from the Saudis.
And why did they feel the need to have all these shell corporations and some 9 of them identified, some 20 plus identified, but 9 Biden family members identified as being recipients of this money?
Okay, first of all, I'll give you an example. The Jill and Joe Biden have their personal real estate holdings in an LLC. Delaware is the LLC state. It is the incorporation state. More companies are incorporated in Delaware than anywhere else. It's almost shocking that Joe Biden, after all these years in government and living in Delaware, doesn't have one for every fucking day of the week. Because it's so easy to have them there and it's so easy to file and all that stuff. If you go to LegalZoom.com, the primary place they're going to send you to establish your LLC or your C Corp or your S Corp is going to be fucking Delaware. That said, Owasco, which is Hunter Biden's legal firm, not a shell company. Rosemont Seneca, not a shell company. Rosemont Seneca has multiple subsidiaries, including Bohai and the real estate group and all that kind of stuff. Those are not shell companies. They are subsidiaries of the investment group itself. Do these motherfuckers know how many people on Etsy have an LLC? Did they have any fucking idea? Did they have any idea how many drop shippers in this guy? Why Delaware? Because they don't have a corporate income tax, I think, or and they don't, and their filing fees to do it are super fucking low. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, according to Delaware Division of Corporations 2021 annual report, 66% of all Fortune 500 companies are incorporated in Delaware. Thanks for that fact there, Ask. Appreciate it. 66.8% of all Fortune 500 companies are incorporated in Delaware. Like, why is this a fucking mystery? Ugh.
I'd love to know what the grandchildren that apparently got paid, according to James Comer, what did the grandchildren do for that money?
They didn't get paid. He paid for their school. This is in the alleged text messages they show around, where he's arguing about having to pay for people's tuitions all the time. That's the package. $44,000. That's your 4 years. Go at it. Or 2 years of the bigger school, or the final 2 years of it. Why is this a fucking mystery?
I'd like to know what experience.
Also, when Hunter was having trouble, Joe and Jill were bailing him out. And instead of paying them back, they said, just give the money to the kids. Pay it forward.
They have. So when you start digging down deep, these are not questions that they're going to be able to answer.
That's because they're nonsensical. It's like going, if you took a chicken and a half a day and a half to lay an egg and a half, how long would it take a monkey with a wooden leg to kick all the seeds out of a dill pickle? These are not questions you want to answer.
Now, we're also talking about some of our top geopolitical foes here. And, okay.
No, Romania is not, and Ukraine are not our top geopolitical foes. And again, if China is the big foe, and allegedly $3 million, 3.4 to be exact, comes from CEFC, split 3 ways through Rob Walker to James and Hunter and to this other dude, so that because they were going to do this deal that was $40 million that didn't actually end up happening. $3.4 million actually exchanges hands. 1,068,000 goes to Hunter Biden personally in this deal, which is his cut of the sorry to fuck with you money. Meanwhile, Yi Jianming, the head of CEFC, buys a $5 million apartment in Trump Tower. At the same time all this shit's going on.
Okay, Hunter's doing business with China after he takes a trip with Daddy and goes to Asia and stops in China, and
it falls apart because they won't set up a subsidiary in the United States.
He's doing all these business deals in China. It doesn't add up.
He's not. You're right. It doesn't add up. All these deals. Tell me one, besides the CEFC attempt to buy an oil and gas processing plant in Louisiana, I think it was. Besides that, what's the other deal? What is it? What's the other deal? I'm dead serious. Besides the deal that never actually happened, what's the deal? And again, the fact that it fell apart, that the deal fell apart because the Yi Jianming, the CFC guy, would not set up an American subsidiary because it would be under the rule of the SEC and because it would be subject to American regulators and because Hunter Biden insisted that they had to have one or the deal couldn't go forward. That's why it fell apart. By the way, he was trying to get Zlochevsky to invest in oil and gas in the United States as well, production here. Just like BP does, or other companies that are outside, in multinationals outside the country.
If you're
trying to bring that foreign investment dollar into the United States.
If you're an addict, usually you're non-functioning.
Really? If you're an addict, usually you're non-functioning. Okay, then why are we taking any emails or any... How are you going to claim that he wrote anything on the alleged hard drive if he's non-functioning? How are you going to go, yeah, he was at that meeting, he was at that place, they were together, they made the call, they were at a business meeting, they did... If he's an addict and he's non-functioning, what the fuck?
If you don't have experience, why do you get paid millions of dollars?
Because your name is Hunter Biden and you can't escape with the money and run off to Russia. I don't know how many times we have to fucking cover this. It is the dumbest refrain they have. Devin Archer wanted Hunter Biden on the team because the investors felt like with somebody who'd been around as long as Joe Biden had been, and the fact that he was vice president was like, all right, at the very least, this motherfucker cannot disappear with our suitcase full of money. it will get where it's going. Or it'll be a scandal that'll wreck his father. And he doesn't want to do that, and they don't want to do that. So we can trust him with our bag of cash because this motherfucker can't hide anywhere. He's the vice president's son. That's why. That's precisely why.
Why did the father lie? Why did the
He didn't.
grandchildren get paid? Why
They didn't get paid. They got money. There's a
do
difference.
you use shell corporations?
They're not shells. Again, the assertion that something is a shell corporation versus an actual corporation for a specific holding or as a trust or as an LLC for your particular business, whether it lives or dies or fails or grows is another thing entirely. But the idea that they were set up just as shells, Donald Trump has 1,500 LLCs under his name, 500 of which he signs off on personally, over half of which are just for bank accounts. They're just LLCs for one bank account. There are no employees. There is no office. There never was. There never will be. It's just set up so that whoever he's partnered with, which is a fucking secret, can put money into that account and he can take it out.
So their story's falling apart. If I was these
No, it isn't. This is the same shit we've heard over and over again.
IRS agents, to go back to your original question, I would countersue today
No, you wouldn't, because you'd know you were in deep shit.
and get discovery on Hunter.
You can't. And by the way, you would not get the laptop on discovery from Hunter because it is not A, in his possession, nor is it his, nor does he claim it. So what the fuck do you... And by the way, it's already on the internet. This goes to that whole thing. That's the new thing that's driving me crazy, if you haven't noticed lately, is this idea that, we're going to blackmail you with what? Shit that's already on the internet. Ah, fuck. It was like blackmailing somebody by paying for their OnlyFans.
We want to know who helped them. I mean, all these shell companies, the average American
All of these shell companies.
doesn't know how to funnel money through a shell company.
That's because they're not funneling money through a shell company. And secondly, all right, first of all, the Bidens aren't average Americans. Joe Biden was the congressman, then the senator from Delaware, the incorporation state. Everybody in Delaware knows how to incorporate. I'm shocked if people don't incorporate their child at birth in Delaware and make I christen thee, Joseph, Jankowicz, Bragowski III, LLC. Now this kid is entirely tax deductible. Congratulations.
The average senator or vice president doesn't have a multi-million-dollar house on the beach.
Oh, yes, they do. Yeah, they do. First of all, the average senator absolutely has a multi-million-dollar house. Joe Biden was the poorest senator.
And then another multi-million-dollar house. We went to Chuck Grassley's house in Iowa, and he lives in a very
It's a dump.
modest home.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
So can't we
Ainsley,
follow this money?
you bring up a great point. And
First of all, Grassley's from Iowa. Simmer the fuck down.
that is, Joe Biden was not living the lifestyle of somebody that spent his entire career in the Senate.
No.
Chuck Grassley with the family farm looked like a very simple, humble home.
Yep.
Yeah, so does George W. Bush's fucking ranch. It's still bullshit. What's his stock portfolio look like?
Duplex, and he still works the farm in his spare time. His family runs the farm in their spare time. It was pretty impressive.
Because that's the show in Iowa.
And
Also, hold on. Well, let's hold on for a second. Point of order, Mr. Chairman, if I may. We got to dive into this. Okay. All right, here we go. What do you think the average person in Iowa is worth? What do you think? What do you think the net worth? What do you think they got in the bank account? What do you think the average person, and I don't mean just government employees, Chat room, anybody, fire up there. 80K, that's pretty good. $1.98, maybe even closer to true. 369,000, that's pretty good. 1.5K, 50K, $12,000, 46 grand. 250K home is the highest number so far. 57,000, 5,000, 100,000, 100K, all that. Yeah, is this really necessary? Yes, it is. Chuck Grassley's net worth is $5 million. As of 2023, Chuck Grassley, who is from Iowa, not the state where 66% of Fortune 500 companies are incorporated, for fuck's sake. No. Iowa, where he has a family farm. A family farm where his net worth is $5 million. He makes $193,000 a year in his job as a senator. Let's see. How many? He's first elected in 1980. He's had a government job since 1980. Never worked in the private sector. Let's see. Enrolled in Iowa Teachers College in 1955. Got his BA. Dropped out of college. Personal life. Chuck married Barbara Speicher in 1954. They've been together. They got 5 children. 88 career. Started in the 50s, where he was a representative of Butler County from 1975 to 81. He was elected to the United House of Representatives. First elected to the Senate in 1980, where he's okay. So he's literally been in public life. Well, I'll tell you how he got $5 million. You want to know how he got $5 million? It's not even that surprising. Dude makes $193,000 a year, and he doesn't have any bills. He's 90 years old. He's 90 years old. He's worth $5 million. And he makes $193,400 a year annually as a employee of the federal government, which he has been for fucking 4 decades. $5 million, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just like a poor little farm boy who's worth. What kind of farm do you have out here in Iowa that isn't worth $5 million? I'm Chuck Grassley. Go fuck yourself. Let's see. We'll do Forbes, Chuck Grassley net worth. Yeah. So everybody's got him at $5 million. Galusi's got him at $5 million. On those, his financial disclosure forms, is it? Yeah. See, there's a multi-million fact checker. Reached out. Okay, here you go. This is the Gazette. There you go. He bought a what? Hold on. Get out of here. Oh, good. This is a fact checker. Is U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley a multimillionaire? Finkenauer says she was 5 years old when Grassley bought his house in Washington. Republican and Democrats have been campaigning against the 7-term senator anyway, with midterm elections about 15 months away, blah, blah, blah. Analysis, the fact checker reached out to Finkenauer's campaign. This is when somebody was running against him. First, we'll take a look at whether he's a multimillionaire. Assets, each is a nonpartisan website dedicated to tracking politics. Grassley's estimated net worth, I was off, look at it, in 2018 was $7.6 million. According to Open Secrets, about $1.2 was invested in his family farm in Butler. Between 2008 and 2018, Grassley's estimated net worth never dipped below $2.5 million. He's far from being the only multimillionaire, according to Open Secrets. 171 had a net worth of at least $2 million. Those in Congress. Finkenauer, on the other hand, was one of the poorest new members of Congress with an estimated net worth of negative $12,500 is debt. Public records both doesn't take away from public. We give her an A for being factual. Yes. So he's worth $7.6 million, according to that. And that was, yeah. Forbes says 18 million. I'm looking at old facts. Yeah. And by the way, I guarantee the family farm is incorporated. I guarantee it.
And by the way, age does not matter. Look at how sharp he is at 90.
I've written over 1,000 pages about Hunter Biden shouldn't be allowed to be president.
90 years of age.
I make total fucking goddamn sense. And I know, I understand what it's like to live in Iowa as a senator because I'm worth somewhere between $5 or $18 million.
So, you know, when you look and you put it all together and you start asking simple common sense questions,
you get simple answers, which are wrong.
None of it adds up. And if there was...
Yes, that's true. None of what you're saying, Sean Hannity, adds up.
So
but don't understand.
Concerned about this. Joe Biden went out there yesterday trying to make a little joke about the investigation. Then why would you need a war room? And why is the war room...
Because they're not stupid. Because he can joke it off, but they can take it seriously. And by the way, that's how you joke about it. You establish a war room like, we're going to fucking curb stomp this bullshit from these guys and send them packing. And I don't have to worry about it. I'll make jokes about it. You guys handle it. But I've given you all the information you need. You have access to everything. Push back. Feel free to hit back as hard as you can, as hard as you want, anywhere, because it's all bullshit. Then you can make jokes. That's exactly how you do it. That's how an adult fucking does it. You know what you don't do? You don't get Lynn Wood and fucking Sidney Powell and Rudy Farty Giuliani in a room to argue with the lawyers that actually know what they're fucking doing and sit back and look at it like it's Game of fucking Thrones.
Sending letters to the media mob saying, this is what you ought to be saying. And by the way, they're compliant.
No, that's their point of view. Here's what we're saying. This is our talking point.
Compliant and complicit anyway.
And Sean, here is that moment when Joe Biden doesn't take any questions, no interviews since July, doesn't really have any press conferences that make sense. Here's what here's how he responded to a shouted question. Listen.
Mr. President, what is your response to Republicans opening an impeachment inquiry into you?
Right. Doesn't.
I love how livid they are. Did you hear what he said? Oh my God, the nerve, the balls on that guy. I thought he was supposed to be sleepy and fucking. I can't put two sentences together, but somehow he puts those three words together and my balls shrink. I can't fucking. Look at Sean Hannity like sit up like he's just been bitch slapped. Watch this.
Right. Doesn't seem worried. Do you think he really is worried?
Well, good luck with that. Guess what? They're having a lot of luck. Now,
no, they're not. They are fucking not. They're having a lot of luck. Like, let me point out what I've already said before that didn't turn out to be shit.
Now, here's the interesting thing.
Here's the interesting thing. Go for it.
I agree. I'm a dope. Another development over the weekend was Kevin McCarthy was very clear that Hunter Biden, and I know this from my sources, he will be subpoenaed. Now, if I had to guess, knowing Abby Lowell as a top attorney, I don't think he's going to let Hunter say a word.
No.
Well, that's that. You're right. It is a game changer. Then, why would you bring that up? As like this? Here's the game changer. They're going to subpoena Hunter Biden, and he's going to tell them to go fuck themselves, just like Jim Jordan and others did to the Fuck. We shouldn't have done that. Now we got no moral high ground at all. Hi, kid, moral high ground.
He probably gave the single worst interview of a 50-year-old man that is even possible when he went on Good Morning America and was asked, well, do you have any experience in energy? No. Any experience in oil? No. Gas? No. Coal? No. Any experience in Ukraine? No.
You're perfect.
Then they go, why do you think you got paid? And he goes, I don't know. I'm like, maybe because your daddy was...
That's not what he said. They said, do you think it has something to do with your last name? He said, yeah. Again, oh God. Play the clip or like don't fucking like even this part of it. If he's doing an interview on television and he's saying this and he's not an addict anymore, and you're gonna make the case that like even mistakes that he makes, like he at least took a bunch of drugs, so who knows if he knows what he's saying? Doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. If he said it, if he fucking said it, it's not gonna hurt him. If he said it in an interview, like no, I don't know anything about oil and gas. I know about investing though. And I know to make sure that the money that is supposed to go to one particular project goes to that project, and that project becomes functional. That's pretty easy. As an investor and as a lawyer, these are all contracted out. There's not like wasn't fucking walking around with a fucking hard hat trying to bluff his way through like Fletch.
The vice president. Now, one other thing here. If you're looking for a quid and a pro and a quo, this was
I am. Let's hear
the
it.
whole thing about Trump's Ukrainian impeachment.
Right. He wanted, specifically, Zelensky was to go to a podium and announce an investigation into Joe Biden, or the javelins wouldn't come. And Rudy Giuliani would give him the exact text that he was to say. That was the quid pro quo. You do that, we give you this. Even though the Congress had already allocated it.
Okay. We now know it was official in October of 2015. It was official Obama administration policy they felt that enough progress on the issue of corruption had been made in Ukraine, and they felt that they had met a new standard, and they approved the $1 billion in loan guarantees. Joe Biden, as the lead.
No. They had already given $2 billion in loan guarantees. They were on the way to do the third. The conversation had around the second was that they were meeting the benchmarks, not that they had met the benchmarks. They'd made good progress, but there were still places they hadn't gone. When he arrived, they still hadn't met that standard, mainly getting rid of Shokin, the dealing with the corruption in the fucking prosecutor's office. He brought it up, said you're not getting the $1 billion without it, and they held a vote in the parliament. Joe Biden didn't fire Shokin, neither did Petro Poroshenko.
For Ukraine at the time, within the administration, okay,
No, look, this is more about the fact that Hannity can't fucking read. It's the only excuse. I mean, other than the only other option is that he's a terrible, terrible man. He's a bad person. He's just genuinely shitty as a human being. And so, to give him the benefit of the doubt, I will just say, I think he's just a moron who can't fucking read. That his reading comprehension skills are shit. If he bothers to do it at all. It sounds like, by the way, a game of telephone about this.
He goes there on December 9th of 2015, same year. Now, interestingly, 4 or 5 days earlier, I believe on December 5th, he gets on the phone with Hunter and Burisma executives. This is the time when Burisma is desperately in need of D.C. help.
Wait, let me finish.
We have emails to that effect. Okay, so they have that phone call.
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on. Okay, 1 second. EU hails sacking of Ukraine's prosecutor Viktor Shokin. March 29th, 2016. March 29th, 2016. Okay. March 29th, 2016. We're good? March 29th, 2016. Now, say again, stupid.
He gets on the phone with Hunter and Burisma executives. This is the time when Burisma. Okay. He goes there on December 9th of 2015.
December 9th of 2015.
Same year. Now, interestingly, 4 or 5 days earlier, I believe on December 5th, he gets on the phone with Hunter and Burisma executives. This is the time when Burisma is desperately in need of D.C. help. We have emails to that.
Yeah, to keep Shokin in place because they're afraid that if they put in somebody genuine, they can't pay that guy off the way they pay off Shokin.
Effect. Okay, so they have that phone call, Hunter, Burisma executives, they're in Dubai. They call Pops in Washington, D.C. Pops then goes to Ukraine, leverages $1 billion of our dollars to get.
Well, there's one minor detail that would be the fact that Shokin was dumped in March of 2016. So you could argue that if Hunter Biden called his dad, and if Biden agreed to help in regarding Shokin at all, and he took any action, it was to delay the firing of Shokin until the last possible moment. Let him stay there as long as possible. They could make an argument for that. They could try to do it. It's bullshit, but they could make it up just because of when this happened. This is, you'll recognize this story. The European Union has welcomed the dismissal of Ukraine's scandal-ridden prosecutor general and called for a crackdown on corruption, even as the country's political crisis deepened over efforts to form a new ruling coalition and appoint a new prime minister. Ukraine's parliament voted overwhelmingly to fire Viktor Shokin, ridding the beleaguered prosecutor's office of a figure who is accused of blocking major cases against allies and influential figures and stymieing moves to root out graft. This is from fucking 2016. Biden wasn't running then. This wasn't a protection racket to cover Biden's ass because he was gonna run for fucking Congress in the midterms or some shit like this. This is in 2016. Let's go down here. This decision creates an opportunity to make a fresh start in the Prosecutor General's office. I hope that the new Prosecutor General will ensure that his office becomes independent from political influence and pressure and enjoys public trust. That's from Jan Tobinsky, the EU's envoy to Ukraine. There is still a lack of tangible results of investigations into serious cases, as well as investigations of high-level officials within the Prosecutor General's office. Mr. Tobinsky said the EU was also concerned about the resignation or dismissal of several reform-oriented prosecutors and reports that Mr. Shokin's office was investigating a highly respected anti-corruption group. An obvious reference to Kiev's Anti-Corruption Action Center, which had fiercely criticized Mr. Shokin. In what appeared to be his last act before dismissal, Mr. Shokin sacked his deputy, David Satsvirdlidze, who had repeatedly called for his boss to be fired. Mr. Satsvirdlidze, a Georgian who was also chief prosecutor in the Odessa office, said his dismissal by Shokin was part of a cleansing of people who are prepared every day to fight corruption and the old guard without compromise. This is from the Irish Times, by the way. This is, and I guess Biden's Irish, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. Also, Sean Hannity is a dickhead.
That prosecutor fired. And people can lie all they want and
say that March is in December. Can people lie about that? Can we fold the fucking calendar in half?
Well, everybody wanted him fired. That's not true, because the European Union had decided also that.
Had they? Had they, Sean? Had they now? Had they?
I agree. I'm a dope.
Right. Had they? What had they?
That Ukraine had made enough progress.
No. That Ukraine was making progress. They were meeting the benchmarks. They had not met all of the benchmarks. And by the time Biden arrived to do this last little bit in fucking March, fucking 4 months after you said it happened, they hadn't met them then. They had not met those benchmarks. Hence the remark.
On the issue of corruption that warranted more aid and support. So, son of a bee, they fired the guy in 6 hours. Well, what is the result of the actions of Joe Biden by leveraging that money? His son Hunter continues to get paid millions of dollars.
He would have anyways. All right. Shokin wasn't investigating Burisma, or certainly wasn't doing anything about it. The idea was, again, he starts an investigation, then he shelves it, and then he bribes you, or blackmails you, essentially. I guess it's extortion. He extorts you by saying, if and when you stop paying me, I take the folder off the shelf and it lands on somebody's desk. It's an old grift. It's pretty common in that area of the world, and it had been going on for a long fucking time. Shokin was playing both sides of it.
Well, that would be a quid pro quo to me.
That's not a quid pro quo. The quid pro quo would be if you fire Shokin. Quid pro quo is like, if you don't fire Shokin, I'm not giving you the money. But that's policy again, overall. But the second one would be related to the firing of Shokin, that Hunter gets to keep his job, which he left after a year anyways, after Zlochevsky fled the fucking country.
There you go. He's speaking.
There you go. That's it. That's it. I mean, what more do you need? That's all I need.
Latin. He does a big show at night. Sean, thank you very much for getting up so early today with us.
Thanks, Sean.
Educare, it's from the Latin that means education. To bring forth from within, Steve. There's your...
He's got one of those fucking calendars.
From your altar boy days.
Well, no, actually, my high school days when I went to a seminary, and
we don't have time for this shit.
You had to say you'd think about the priesthood, but in 3 weeks they said everybody should think about it except him.
Right, because you were masturbating in the pews, obviously, and swearing like a sailor and spitting in the face of the priest when he came by, and kept saying, "Forgive me, Father, for I have yet to sin. I'm gonna jerk off in the booth and go home." That kind of stuff. Is that why?
I agree. I'm a dope.
All right.
That's what fun we have with the thing where we're just wrong about everything. That said, by the way, chat room, I thought I saw, if I wasn't mistaken, it seemed like there were some trollage going on. And I'm glad they were here for that one. You know what I mean? Like I'm glad some of the trollers just have to, because they can't get this shit out of their head. You got to admit that if I'm looking at articles from 2015, 2016, that isn't something set up by the fucking Biden White House. It certainly isn't set up by the Obama Biden White House, because again, if everybody agrees and Joe had fucked it up, why would the Irish Times or the EU be making statements about this shit? Right? Yeah, the trolls are gonna... Trolls, explain to me. Come here, lean in. You're gonna have to explain to us. Explain to all of us how you want your tax dollars to go to a guy like Shokin, and then tell us all why the diamond prosecutors were actually the good guys. And you're like, diamond prosecutors? What's that? And I go, exactly, asshole. Go look it up. Ukraine diamond prosecutors. Go look it up. And then tell me that Sean Hannity was right about them meeting the benchmarks. And also, go read the emails that he is referencing. Somebody's got them. I think John Solomon has them up on his website, where they're talking about Ukraine as a country meeting benchmarks, but not the prosecutor's office. And not meeting all of them. They were doing them. They were making progress, but they had not finished that progress. And one of the things they hadn't finished was getting rid of this fucking creep. Yeah. The trolls left. Yeah, they tend to bug out when I start throwing references up.